Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to another Season 7 League of Legends Champion Guide. In this one, I'm going to cover Jungle Graves, the Outlaw.
Dead man walking.
Graves is a jungler with very good burst damage, and he also makes a great duelist because of his high damage, mobility, and the added tankiness from his E ability. He has multiple escapes and a very good clear speed as well, considering he does have a lot of AoE damage in his kit. He stays very healthy in the jungle as well because of the knockback on his basic attacks due to his passive, and he's got very good early pressure as well. There's not a lot of champions out there that can actually deal with Graves' early pressure. Graves, like every other champion in League of Legends, does have some cons, and the first one is his early mana issues. If you're spamming all your abilities early on, if you don't have blue buff, you're going to go out of mana really quickly, so you have to conserve your mana. Your auto attacks are also blockable, so when you are coming in for a gank, the enemy champion can use the minions to block your auto attacks. But at least you can use your E ability to get through the minions. Your abilities are also rather dodgeable as well, so you have to try to explode your Q on a wall instantly whenever you can. Finally, Graves has a very short basic attack range, so he may struggle against some long-range champions, but at least he has some range at least. For your Masteries, you'll want to go 18 Cunning and 12 Ferocity, grabbing Thunderlord's Decree as your Keystone Mastery. This Keystone is incredibly easy to get off on Graves, and it can add some nice burst damage into your combos, making you have even more kill potential. For the rest of your Masteries, you pretty much want to focus on increasing your damage as much as possible so you can instantly burst squishy targets down. For my runes, I like to stick with a generic AD carry setup and get attack damage reds, armor yellows, magic resist blues, and attack speed quints. This will give you some really nice added attack damage, and your reload speed will be just a bit quicker because of the attack speed quints. Then of course we pick up that armor and the magic resist just so we're a little bit more durable and we don't die instantly in fights. For your summoner spells, you're going to have to pick up Flash and Smite. Smite is required as a jungler since it will allow you to clear through the jungle, buy your jungler items, and secure objectives like Dragon and Baron. Your Smite can also be used offensively when you do get your Skirmisher's Saber, which will reduce the damage you take from the target and add bonus true damage onto your attacks for 3 seconds. Flash of course is also required because it does give us a reliable escape, which is great because we're not the most durable champion out there. We can even combo it with our collateral damage to snipe people from a very long distance. Our passive is New Destiny, and it's all about affecting our basic attack and has 3 different parts to it. The first part is called 12 Gauge, and it makes each of Graves' basic attacks consume 1 shell and sprays 4 pellets in a cone. Each hit takes 70 to 100 based on level % AD physical damage, plus a third of the damage dealt for every pellet that hits them beyond the first. Critical strikes spray 6 pellets over a 50% wider cone and deal 40% times 1 plus bonus critical damage AD additional physical damage. So this part of your passive is fairly simple. It makes your basic attacks do a cone of damage, and therefore even your basic attacks are AoE. This combined with your Q ability is the reason that your jungle clear is so amazing. The second part of your passive is called Buckshot, and this makes your pellets stop at the first enemy unit or structure they hit, meaning Graves is not guaranteed to hit his primary target. Each pellet will apply on-hit effects, but enemies will only be affected by them once per shell, and non-champion units hit by more than 1 pellet are knocked back. So this is one of the main reasons Graves is kinda hard to learn at first for people, because your shots aren't guaranteed to hit your primary target if they are blocked by minions. If you're going in for a gank, you have to make sure that there is a clear line of sight between you and the enemy champion in order for you to actually hit them with your basic attack. This is also part of the reason your jungle clear is so healthy, because this does knock back your target, and as long as you're moving backwards in between each shot, you're not really going to get hit too much. The last part of your passive is called Double Barrel, and this makes Graves' shotgun Destiny hold up to 2 shells. After spending both shells or sitting on one for 4 seconds without attacking, Graves will take 2.079 seconds, reduced by 0.4% for every 1% bonus attack speed, to reload, with the fastest reload time being 1.22 seconds, needing 104% bonus attack speed. This will also take a little bit of time to get used to because you can't basic attack all the time. Since your attacks do AoE damage and knock back minions and monsters though, this doesn't really matter too much because they do a lot of damage. Generally, we're going to go for a full lethality build as well, so we're not going to have a lot of attack speed, so you will have to spend some time reloading. Your Q ability is End of the Line, and it can do a ton of burst damage, but it is rather dodgeable as well. When activated, Graves fires around in the target direction that deals physical damage to all enemies it passes through and leaves behind a powder trail. After 2 seconds or after 0.25 upon impacting with a structure or terrain, the round detonates, dealing physical damage to all enemies in a wide perpendicular area and in the reverse wave along the powder trail. So since 2 seconds is a rather long duration and you can dodge it rather easily, you want to hit it against a wall or structure instead so it detonates much quicker. This ability does an absolute ton of damage and it's great for clearing through the jungle, so we want to max this one first. Your W ability is Smokescreen, and it applies a really nice slow that also gives near sight to anybody that's stuck inside it. When activated, Graves fires a smoke canister at the target area, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies, briefly slowing them upon impact, and creating a cloud of smoke for 4 seconds that applies near sight of outside the area to all enemies within. So this is a pretty decent ability since it does slow and give near sight, but it is unfortunately AP based, so it's not going to do a lot of damage. Therefore, we're going to want to take just one early point in this ability just so we do have that slow and near sight, and then max it last. When you're going for a combo, usually you're going to want to use this at the very beginning, so they will be slowed, making your other abilities land easier, and of course applying near sight. Your E ability is Quick Draw, and it's fantastic because of its added mobility, and it even makes you a bit more durable. When activated, Graves dashes in the target direction, resetting his auto attack timer, reloading 1 shell and gaining a stack of True Grit for 4 seconds, which stacks up to 8 times. Dashing towards an enemy instantly grants 2 stacks of True Grit. True Grit grants Graves bonus armor and bonus magic resist, and attacks versus non-minions will also refresh the duration of True Grit. So this is a pretty damn solid ability because you can have a maximum resist of between 40 and 120 based on the level of this ability. In a drawn out fight, that's going to make Graves a pretty tanky champion as long as he has a respectable health pool. You'll want to max this ability second behind your Q ability because the resistances are just too good to pass up. Your ultimate is collateral damage, and this does some really good AoE burst damage from a relatively long range. When activated, Graves fires an explosive shell in the target direction, dealing physical damage to every non-champion enemy it passes through, as well as the first enemy champion it collides with, while also dashing in the opposite direction. After hitting a champion or reaching the end of its range, the shell explodes, dealing 80% of its original damage in a cone. So this ability has a 1000 range normally, but then an 800 cone afterwards, which is really damn long. If enemy champions are running away and they're a pretty decent distance away from you, you can still snipe them down with this ability. You can even use it as an escape because you will dash in the opposite direction. It's not that large, but it can sometimes give you enough of a gap to escape. Use this at the end of your burst combo to do the final damage or just to snipe enemies that are far away. For your skill order, you first want to put a point into your ultimate whenever you can at 6, 11, and 16. You'll then want to focus on maxing your Q ability first because it is your bread and butter ability and it's amazing for its jungle clear and adds some really solid burst damage. Then you'll want to max your E ability because it gives some really solid mobility and gives you some great resistances and even lowers its cooldown as you do level it up. You'll then want to max your W ability last because it doesn't really give you too much when you level it because it's based off of your AP damage. Just make sure you take one early point in the ability at level 4 so you can actually slow and apply near sight. For your combos, we first have the instant Q combo, and this is one you'd want to do against a low health enemy that's against a wall. Very simply, use your E ability to close a distance, use your Q against the wall to instantly proc it, and finish off a low enemy. For your all-in burst combo, you first want to use your red smite on the enemy champion so you deal bonus true damage, and hit them with your smoke screen. At this point, you'll want to hit them with your Q ability, and then auto-attack them, use your E ability to close a gap and reset it, and auto-attack instantly again. At this point, you could keep auto-attacking if you did need to, but if the enemy was really low, then you'd want to use your ultimate, collateral damage, to finish them off and create a gap. Here's what that same combo will look like in full speed. Graves is a very strong early and mid-game jungler, so you have the option of invading the enemy jungler if they are a weak one, or just clearing your own jungle. If you plan to invade the enemy, then usually I like to start at my blue buff and then steal the enemy red buff. You have a very quick, healthy clear, so you don't have to worry about taking too much damage. If you instead want to clear your own jungle, it's very easy to do the whole thing because you're a passive New Destiny, so I like to do the whole thing and then look for a gank afterwards. You can use your quick draw to take quicker paths to gank quicker than most junglers as well, so make sure you abuse it. Graves has really strong ganks if you can get behind the enemy champions. Your ganks are also much more effective when you have red buff, so you should try to gank right after your first full clear or invade. You can use your quick draw to get closer to the enemy to get off your damage, so look to use it for its mobility. Keep in mind that minions can block your auto attacks, and this can get you by the minions. Your other abilities are rather dodgeable as well, so try to land your end of the line on a wall by an enemy champion so it blows up instantly so they're unable to move out of the detonation zone. Of course, you can also toss it in the direction they have to use to escape. If you have your offensive smite, then you'll want to open with that because it will make the enemy take that bonus true damage, and that can be the difference in landing a kill. In a team fight, usually you'll want to play like an AD carry, except at least you have some durability from your quick draw. You're usually going to have to sit on the back line with your other squishies and deal with the enemy bruisers on the front line unless you see a squishy target out of position. If possible, try to land your smokescreen on multiple frontline champions. This will of course apply near sight and slow them at the same time, so kiting will be much easier. If you then have champions that are diving onto the enemy backline, then make sure you pay attention to the enemy's health because you can kill them from a very long range with collateral damage. Now let's look at some hard matchups, and first up is Rammus. Rammus is going to be incredibly hard for you because you're basically an AD carry and he's going to have a massive amount of armor with a Thornmail and he's going to make you kill yourself. He also gains a lot of mobility from his Q ability, so his counter ganks are going to be pretty effective against you. Against him, you're going to want to try to keep wards on the map so you know where he is, and only gank when you know you're safe. Other than that, farm until you can burst some of his teammates down, and avoid him as much as you can. Next here is Ivern, who's another very durable champion with great counter jungling and great counter ganks. Against him, you're going to want to drop a control ward in your own jungle to watch for when he's going for invades. He's also going to be a complete pain in the ass in teamfights because he offers his team so much utility, and his Daisy can even block your auto attacks, meaning you're going to do relatively little damage if he is using her properly. Farm as much as you can and try to counter gank him. Next is Diana, who's a high burst assassin that has pretty good mobility as long as she can land her Q ability. This ability you must dodge at all costs because if she does get multiple uses of her ultimate, you're going to die relatively quickly. If she ultimates onto you, try to E out, but keep in mind her E does also pull you back in, so try to get out of that zone. Until you get a bunch of items and you're very bursty, avoid her as much as you can. Last here we have Nocturne, who's a very bursty assassin right now with a full lethality build, and he's probably going to piss you off. As soon as he picks up a couple kills and has an Edge of Night, he's going to be able to burst pretty much anybody. If he gets the jump on you with an Edge of Night shield and also uses his W properly, he's going to have 2 spell shields, which means you're going to do very little damage to him. He, on the other hand, is going to instantly kill you. Against him, you're going to have to play the counter vision game because if he has wards all over the map, he's going to ultimate whoever he wants and pick up a lot of kills. Now let's finish this guide off with our item build, which starts with a Hunter's Machete, refillable potion, and a warding totem. For our core build, we'll want to get Skirmisher's Saber enchanted with Warrior, a Yumu's Ghostblade, and an Edge of Night. This will give us a ton of attack damage, a nice speed activation, a nice shield activation, and 20% CDR. Of course, you're also going to have a bunch of lethality, so with this core build, you're going to do a ton of damage. For your boot options, we have Berserker Greaves for increased attack speed, Ninja Tabis for that armor against AD teams, Merc Treads for magic resist and breaking out of CC quicker, and Boots of Swiftness for all-around mobility. For your item pool, we first could get some attack speed in either the Phantom Dancer or the Rapid Fire Cannon. Both are great ways to get off your attacks a little bit quicker and reload faster, and they can really increase your damage output. We could always get a Duskblade as well if we want to go for a full lethality build and make the most out of our lethality. Next, you could work on getting through some armor with either the Black Cleaver, LDR, or Mortal Reminder. The Black Cleaver is a great way to shred some armor and also CDR cap us, the LDR is great for full out armor penetration and damage, and the Mortal Reminder is great for the same thing, but also if we need to get grievous wounds. We could always get a Guardian Angel as well in the later stages of the game just to be a bit more defensive and come back to life if we do end up dying. The Maw and Sterak's Gauge are also great items as well for getting a shield if we do dip low on health, but you can't get both because they do not stack. Then finally, you could get some lifesteal with either the Death's Dance, the Bloodthirster, or the Mercurial Scimitar. Death's Dance is great if you want 10% more CDR, Bloodthirster is great if you want a defensive shield, and Mercurial Scimitar is great if you do want to break out of CCs. For my full build, I like to focus on getting as much lethality as possible while also CDR capping, so I'll take my core build, add the Black Cleaver, and then of course, the Duskblade. You'll have a ton of penetration already with all the lethality you have, but then you'll get even more with the shredding from the Black Cleaver. You'll then of course have a ton of attack damage as well, so you're going to be an insanely bursty champion. But that, ladies and gentlemen, covers everything I've got for Jungle Graves in Season 7. Don't forget to check out the video description below for a link to all my social medias, and keep in mind I do also do Riot Point giveaways on my Twitter, and also have a Discord server, so those are 2 you should definitely check out. But other than that, thank you guys a ton for watching the guide, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, son.